Welcome to the lab. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. Good to see you. Good to be here. Thank you for waiting patiently. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the Sebastian Rogers case out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. And as promised, a good friend of mine and homicide detective extraordinaire, Chris McDonough. How are you, Chris?
What's up, buddy?
Not too much, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, Josh. Good to see you, man. What's up, lab rats? How art thou?
They're always good, you know. They're just doing their thing. So, how have you been? You know, I know when was the last time we did a show on the lab? Was with you and with Dr. Gary. But you've been a busy man.
Yeah, I've been very busy. It's job security, unfortunately. There's a lot going on out there, and so I've been, just staying on it. Don't let the old man in.
That's what they say, huh? And there's our boy Trevor. Trevor was initially one of the first people to start covering this case, and I credit him a lot with kind of gaining the momentum of people being interested in this case. And as I said, Chris, I asked you had been familiar, you had heard about the case and stuff like that, but you hadn't looked into it or anything, and still really haven't. So you're kind of coming into this fresh, and a lot of people just ask me, they're like, what do you think Chris's perspective on this would be? I said, well, the best way to get his perspective is to ask him and I understand the problem is, hold on a second.
What's up, Trev?
Let me check my mic here. Hold on.
Yeah. It sounds like you have hearing aids on.
Is that any better?
Oh yeah, that's it right there. That fixed it.
Linda texted me. She says your sound isn't through your mic. She knows when something's up, dude.
Yeah. Did you adjust your hearing aids with hit them with a corn dog or something?
My intros are the worst ever.
Well, you know what? I can help you there.
Well, you can't, because I watched your show the other day and then you messed up yours too.
Oh yeah, I messed it up all the time.
I watch you guys are like sitting there going,
oh, I know, but I cut that out too, by the way.
When?
This morning. I cut it out because I was like,
"Oh, thank God, I got to see it."
What a dork!
Yeah, I got to see it. Thank God, it was
such a dork sometimes.
You know what, man? I leave them all in. I don't even care. Matter of fact, on After Dark the other day, I did an intro where I had myself playing in the background, so it started looping everything that I said over and over. I couldn't, out of the 3 windows that I had up, I couldn't find it, so I just let it go. And by the end of the show, I was just like, well, let's listen back to that, because that was interesting. Worst intro of all time.
The problem is I didn't know this until recently. And on this last night, when you I messed up the beginning of last night's program. And so I thought, oh man, there we are. I was sitting there with a deer, in the headlights, and I thought, man, that's got to go. And so I went into YouTube and I moved it just a tad to where it starts. And then all of a sudden I discovered it takes away your chat too on your live chat. And so I'm like, wow, that's going to leave a mark. People are going to be mad about that. So,
well, then just turn off the comments. And you're just put yourself on an island completely.
Yeah.
No, I've had that happen before too, but whatever. The best part of it was when Gary showed up just out of nowhere, and you're just
I love Gary.
He's the best ever.
He is.
He's the best, man. And great program last night.
Thanks.
And what a case that is. That is an odd case. We got another odd case that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
So we got a 15-year-old boy, he with autism, who has, they say that I've heard them say somewhere between the ages, he operates between the ages of 6 and 8 or something along those lines. If I'm off a little bit, please forgive me. But so he goes missing, I believe, the morning of February 26th. And mother gets up to wake him up for school, 6 a.m., not in his room. She can't find him. She calls stepdad, says, I can't find him.
What time did he go down for bed?
I believe 9.
At night?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then, we'll watch their early interview here. But, I tell you so there's just a lot of matter of fact, why don't we just watch this first and then we'll discuss. I think that would probably be the easiest way to get you the info.
Okay, I'm not hearing that, bro.
Okay, hold on. Let me. Okay, so hopefully it should work now. I think. I don't know. Can you hear it?
Rogers.
All right.
Tonight, the parents of a missing teen in Sumner County described to us exclusively how they feel on day 8 of their son's disappearance. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Marius Payton.
And I'm Lauren Lowry. Sebastian Rogers is 15. He was last seen by his parents on February 25th in Hendersonville. Sebastian,
whenever you want me to stop it, just let
has
me know.
autism, and he's without his medication this whole time. And since then, authorities have searched by air, by foot, and on horseback.
Helicopters, drones, and dive teams have also been brought in to try to find him. Today, his parents spoke exclusively to our Holly Thompson.
She's live tonight in Sumner County. Holly, I imagine it was quite an emotional interview.
Certainly was. It is hard for any of us to imagine the emotion safely.
Can you walk us through what you're thinking right now?
I just want my baby to be okay. I don't know where he's at.
Mom Katie broke down several times in our interview, but says her hope is strong that her son Sebastian will be found safe and return home.
He's going to walk through that door and straight up flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him. And
Stepdad Chris says it's an emotional roller coaster that all started Sunday night, February 25th.
Pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did. He said, "Good night, Mom. I love you."
Katie says she went to wake up Sebastian around 6 a.m. Monday for school, and he was gone. Within minutes, Katie says she was on the phone with Chris, who was working out of town, and they quickly called 911.
And he's not a runner. He's never run away before. I don't know why. I don't know why he walked out that door.
I mean, he's a good kid. He's not a mischievous child by any means.
Katie and Chris say Sebastian is not on social media. While he loves to play Minecraft, they tell me he does not have any online capabilities. I asked if there was any reason he might want to leave.
We've been combing over that day and even the weeks before he left, and I hadn't been able to figure it out. He's that morning he was laughing, he was joking.
It's as if Sebastian vanished. No sign of him on any video throughout the community. Thousands of miles logged by law enforcement, canines, helicopters, even dive teams, and no sign.
And just really quick, I want to say that the people in the chat saying, there was one done today. You got to play that one. I don't have permission to play that one. And I get it. Like I just don't have permission to play it. It just came out today. And I'm not going to do that.
Of him. Chris and Katie tell me they've been harassed, people pointing fingers at them.
You're not in this situation. You don't quite understand. I wish people would step back take a different wide open view and not assume what they know. It's just better to stick to the facts.
Are you both in the clear?
I can tell you that Mom, myself, and the father have worked very fully and cooperatively with all agencies across the board. We have anything that they've wanted, we have provided.
What do you want to say to Sebastian? What do you want him to hear from you right now?
That we love you so much and we want you to come home and you're not in trouble.
All right, so that's part one. Okay.
Okay.
Any thoughts from that?
Not yet.
Okay.
I want to see part two.
Let's get to the second part here. They got it all chopped up. It's nice.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
It's kind of crappy. Hold on here. Nashville News 5. God, it's just so much crap.
So if I understand this, at this point, from 9 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning, and then she goes in to wake him up, and he's not in his bed. He's just vanished.
Gone. And I'm gonna get off the regular website. Vanished. Nobody's seen him. There's nothing that has picked him up. There's no camera footage of him. There's nothing.
Okay.
Okay. Strange.
No problem.
Yeah, well, it's kind of annoying to me.
So while you're doing that, let's talk a little bit about the family dynamics from what we know in the public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are they?
Well, they're closely guarded. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can get somebody to send it to me. They're closely guarded. There's just... Okay, so you have the stepfather who is kind of answering all these questions, you understand? But he wasn't there. And now he's sort of doing all these interviews and interacting with people online. He doesn't want his past brought up, the dynamics of the family he's not really willing to talk about. And you see, he sent me the news. Sorry about this, Chris.
No problem.
He doesn't want to talk about, they don't really go into any detail about the dynamics of the family. I know that the man has been married 5. This is his 5th marriage, which I always find that kind of strange. Like, I'm not saying that, people that get divorced, they, obviously get remarried, but 5 times, but I don't know how old he is. I'm guessing 45 at the most. And the biological father has not condemned them at all. Well, not really, but his mother has. I mean, she claims that
Whose mother?
Seth Rogers, the biological father of Sebastian, claims that Sebastian was scared of the stepfather and that he has a temper. And that, he had talked about, he didn't want his daughter, his biological daughter, around Sebastian, but he doesn't really go into any explanations of that. Let me see here. Okay.
Do they have joint custody?
By the way, my man Trev's bailing me out here big time. They share custody. So that's another interesting question, Chris, because there is a shared custody. The biological father lives a little bit away, like an hour or so. And he sees Sebastian every other weekend, but the biological father claims that after this school year was dismissed, that Sebastian was going to live with him full time. And the dad spoke about that, and he said that, you know, that's what we've always wanted. So, you know, there is some speculation that the stepfather has a temper, but nothing real concrete yet. Nobody's actually came out and said, look, this guy came after me, or this guy's done this. But there's a lot of chatter behind the scenes of people saying, I'm terrified of this guy, but nobody's coming up to speak about it, you know, which is, I mean, I can understand that. But you do hear that there is just a lot of chatter about that. So, and Trevor sent me this here, so we'll go ahead and play the whole thing here.
So first, just express, I can't even imagine as a parent what
Peyton Diaz or Peyton?
How would you describe the situation right now? How are you coping?
We're on a constant roller coaster ride of helpless and hopeless and many other emotions all in one, and it's a never-ending roller coaster. It doesn't stop. It won't stop until he walks through the door.
I wouldn't wish this on anyone. Not anyone.
I know we're about keeping hope alive. I'm sure that's in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Always. He's going to walk through that door. And this street will be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug him, love him, and
That boy's gonna have more friends than he knows what to do with when he comes home.
So here we are, 8 days now searching for him. Walk us through that Sunday night that he went missing. So walk us through, we've got so many people who really want to know, okay, how did this happen? So kind of just walk us through that night.
We were out and about that day. We were having a really good weekend. We got home. Everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did. He said, "Good night, Mom. I love you." Said good night to his puppies. A little bit later, I wound up going to bed, and when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there.
So in your mind, that's usually around what time? 6? When do you normally wake up? Around 6 o'clock?
6.
So were you instantly thinking something's wrong, or were you like, he may just be already in the shower?
I took a
in the living
second.
room?
I took a second and walked through the house looking for him in case he'd gotten up and was trying to get breakfast or something, because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. I said, "I can't find him." He said, "What do you mean you can't find him?" I said, "He's not in the house."
And so at that point, is that when you call 911, or what's going through your mind?
While we were on the phone, and I was like, is he on the other side of the bed?
Chris, an interesting thing that is that he tells her to call 911 on a 3-way call.
Okay.
I just find that interesting.
The normal places he may be in the house, you know, and he wasn't. So I was like, okay, well, hold on a minute. And immediately after that, we called the sheriff's department and made the report.
I ran all over the house, outside, inside. I looked in every closet.
Within minutes, they were here They responded within minutes, and here we go.
So you said you were on the phone with her, so
Yes,
you were not home.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I was at work. I'm a tower crane operator, and I was working in Memphis at the St. Jude project. So it's, you know, I have an earpiece in that talks to my phone. I have another earpiece in that does the radios. So when she was talking to me, it was like, what? I was confused. We talked about where he could possibly be, and then we went from there and led to calling the cops, and here we are now.
And within minutes, they're there at the home.
Yes, ma'am.
It was rapid fire. They had cars.
They
They had
lied
cars from here down to the
to the main
road,
road.
as far as I could tell.
So what's going through both of your minds? I mean, are we panicking? Is it this, oh, I think he's probably at a neighbor's house, or what are you thinking?
My son doesn't run. He's not a runner. He's never run away before. I don't know why. I don't know why he walked out that door.
I mean, he's a good kid. He's not a mischievous child by any means.
Yeah, in newer interviews, she has added that now, from what she just said, that she did end up driving around looking for him. So that is a newish wrinkle.
So there's a gap there that from what she just said, waking him up to calling 911, she had gotten her car and drove around and then came back and the cops were there.
I don't know when she went and searched, but at first she had never said, and if there's anybody that can verify that. So between 6 and I believe does anybody know exactly what time? Hold on 1 second. So she says 6, but I don't know the exact time. Trevor is saying that it was 6:39. So there seems to be dispatch called at 6:39. She says that she recognized that he wasn't there around 6 o'clock in the morning. So yes, there's a gap.
There's answers to questions that have no answers, or questions
Parts
excuse
is
me, questions with no
playing
answers
through
right now that we are searching for desperately, and we just don't have that.
Is there anything that happened that day that you think back and there might have been a reason he was possibly upset, or something outside that could have enticed him to go outside? Was there anything that came to mind?
We've been combing over that day and even the weeks before he left, and I hadn't been able to figure it out. He's that morning he was laughing, he was joking. Everyone we were around that day agreed that he seemed like he was in a good mood. He was behaving. It'd make more sense if we'd been fighting.
Or you'd been in trouble, but he hadn't been in trouble. So, I mean, the $1 million question, why did he go? And the other $1 million question is how.
What about social media? Was there anything that, anyone he could have contacted? I understand he was somewhat of a gamer, or what was he? There was a video game he loved, right?
Minecraft. He loves Minecraft. The game that he has is not online. He has the Switch.
We don't, because of how social media can be, he doesn't have accessibility to communicate with folks on internet. I mean, we have a firm belief that we just don't feel that right now that he's capable of having that kind of responsibility. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, his phone is locked down, his computers, his gaming. He doesn't have a gamer tag. He doesn't have online capabilities with games. I mean,
we've combed every electronic.
I mean, we've cooperated with all the authorities as far as anything they've asked us to provide, we've provided, and still just don't have any answers.
Did he have any friends that could have possibly contacted him in some way on his phone?
All his friends at school have been questioned to my knowledge, and none of them knew anything.
So this big question mark. He's vanished.
Yes, ma'am.
And no one can figure out where or why. All right. So
Why
let's
what?
talk to about the relationship involved, because there
Questioned to my knowledge, and none of them knew anything.
so this big question mark. He's vanished.
Yes, ma'am.
And no one can figure out where or why.
They're just saying they don't know why he vanished.
All right. So
Right. That's
let's talk to about
Yep.
the
Go ahead.
no, I mean, from what I'm seeing so far, is they have this big, thought process going on in their heads about going in at 6 o'clock in the morning and he's not there. But the night before, she thought it was kind of cool that she says, go to bed. And she makes a comment about it. And he says, okay, Mom. And he goes into bed. So my question is, from 9 at night to 6 in the morning, what time does Dad get up?
So here's what we don't know.
Okay.
We don't even know. He hasn't said if he was at the home and left for that morning, or at least as far as I've heard so far, he has not said anything about, he wasn't there. He was out of town. He claims now, because of his work schedule, that he hasn't seen Sebastian since early February, that he came home when he had heard what happened.
What?
He works out of town 3 hours away.
Okay. So he's not anywhere around this day.
That's what he says.
So it's Mom and the son, apparently, right?
Correct.
Are there other siblings?
No.
Okay, so it's Mom and the son. He's dad. The stepdad is supposed to be in Memphis. Do I have that right?
Correct.
Okay. So what are the routines of this little boy? Do we know?
They go into it here a little bit.
Relationship involved, because the biological father is very much involved in Sebastian's life as well.
Yes, ma'am.
He
Very
is.
much.
Right. And how would you describe that relationship, the two of them and the four of you?
It's relatively good. I mean, we talk regularly. He talks to his son on a regular basis, sees him on a regular basis. He's involved in school and therapy. And I mean, he doesn't have any extracurricular activities, but I can tell you now, if he did, his dad would be in the front row.
In two different households, and the communication between the three of us is great. I mean, yes, we're just like every parent. We all have our disagreements, but
I would call
in the
that
end, we come
response
together as a team.
buyer's remorse.
Yeah, I could see that. And as you see him going into this wordy explanation of how they work together as a family unit, I don't know if there's really anything to indicate that that's true. I mean, he makes it seem like they're all real peachy and rosy, and if you go by what Dr. Gary said, it's kind of one of those revisionist type situations. It's we all love each other, we all work together, we co-parent so well, and this is kind of what he heads into here.
When we work and we come up with solutions that as we best see fit. I mean, I'm almost in contact with him almost daily.
So he's in contact with the ex-husband almost daily, but he's out of town and has no idea what his stepson's doing.
Correct.
Okay.
Let's talk about Sebastian. Tell me about Sebastian. How would you describe him?
sweet, stubborn. He loves to help. He loves running, and he loves to play his games and his fidgets and Uno. Lord, that's one of his favorite games right now.
A good game.
Favorite color is green.
Does he love music?
Oh, God,
Oh.
he loves music.
An eclectic taste.
I
An
mean,
eclectic. I mean, from as everybody knows, Eye of the Tiger to Eddie Vedder.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So we got Pearl Jam on one hand, we've got Survivor on the other over here. We've got Taylor Swift, and
he's got a big crush on her. I mean, country, rock,
no hip hop.
classic.
We don't allow the hip hop.
Well, he doesn't really
Well, I
get
say
into it
rap and
anyways.
things.
You mentioned he loved running. So did he love the outdoors at all? I mean, would something outside that was somewhat outdoorsy be enticing to
So-
him or pull him outdoors?
He loves, like, when we were in California and the school had this lap thing to gain money. It was a fundraiser, and every year he was, I did this many laps, I did this many laps. I mean, I've got t-shirts where they would write on his back every time the kids went around. They'd mark a mark on the back and they'd keep running, and he just had marks all the way across his back. He likes playgrounds. He hates being dirty. He don't like being dirty.
Yeah, he's not your tomboy style child where he goes outside and plays in the mud.
He loves animals, but he's terrified of bugs.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
even a fly, and he's like, oh!
Let's talk too, because he's highly functioning. I know you all have described him as having a form of autism,
He does.
but just describe that to our viewers too, as far as his way of thinking of things and maybe how determined he was about certain things or his mindset.
He's got a stubborn mindset. If he believes it's this,
He gets on a one-man track, and he is just
Yeah.
on it, and he is all about it.
but I mean,
So
he's
stop
very
a minute.
smart.
So how long have these two been together?
So he says that he's been in, how long has he been in Sebastian's life? I think the better part of 5 years, maybe. Maybe somebody can clarify that for me. But they've been together a little while. Let's see here, 7 years.
So he's been in Sebastian's life since he was 8.
Correct.
Okay.
He
I mean,
can-
he can play chess. He can beat adults in chess.
Wow.
So he's
Okay.
he loves playing games.
What about navigation? Like, did he have a sense of direction? Do you think he could have possibly even hitched a ride or gotten a ride on a bus or some sort of transportation?
that is a speculation that we don't have an answer for. Just
I mean-
directionally, he knows he could guide you from our house to his dad's house.
Yeah.
He could get from like this house. I think he can make it up to Culver's ice cream.
He can go to Culver's.
Oh, that boy loves
He
a
knows
malt.
where Culver's is because Culver's has malt.
Uh-huh.
He loves malt, extra malt. Every time, extra malt.
Now, how far away does his dad live?
Clarksville. His dad lives up by Clarksville.
So he could guide someone all the way to Clarksville.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Okay. So a
Far is
pretty
that?
sense of direction, at least with certain things.
What's that?
How far is that? Do we know?
The mileage, I don't know, but it's I guess it's a little bit over an hour away,
So that's like 60 miles.
something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Familiar
How far
routes.
is the
Familiar
Culver?
Excuse me.
How about the ice cream joint?
That I don't know.
Direction, at least with certain things.
Familiar routes.
Yes.
Familiar routes. Okay.
Familiar
I
routes.
mean, if I took him another route going
He
this way,
takes
he would
it.
not know it.
He goes up there so often that He knows how to get to it.
So it's 70 miles away.
Hmm.
That's how far his dad is away. So a little over an hour.
His daddies, we know that.
His dad works with him as far as, well, we're going this way, we're going that way. And
Mm-hmm.
Culver's is a half a mile from where they live, which is the ice cream shop.
keeps the same thing and it works out.
Appreciate you, chat.
Let's talk too, because earlier, Chris, you and I were talking, and you were saying that there are a lot of people who are harassing both of you. What of any of that do you want to address? What do you want to say to any of these people?
Just that you don't know. And I don't wish you to ever know.
I would say it like this. Everybody has an opinion, and it's perfectly okay to have that opinion, but you're not in the situation. You don't quite understand. I wish people would step back, take a different wide open view, and not assume what they know.
Chris, is there anything to be said about him seemingly to care more about their either involvement or the perception of the public towards them instead of the pleading? I mean, this is their first actual interview that they gave in regards to Sebastian going missing. Do you make anything of that, or am I just reading into that too much?
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is a whole new phenomenon that our country's been facing in relationship to the ability of social media, to watch stuff like this. And, there is, it's a whole new dynamic, even for law enforcement.
Yeah, right.
To get out there and start thinking about how these folks are going to react based on just what other people are saying. I mean, this is an actual great tool for law enforcement because you can sit here, you can just kind of watch the dynamics, not necessarily, try to evaluate what they're saying, but listen to the minutia of how they present it. And you'll notice that mom does a lot of rocking.
Mm-hmm.
Mom does a lot of eye closing. She does a lot of response with a negative head tilt, meaning, she'll say one thing, but her head's doing this. Okay. You see a lot of exhaling, which is stress being released out. Okay. You have a control situation with him where, he wants to make sure that the messaging that gets out there is clear and concise. And, we don't know for a fact that, I don't anyway, at this juncture, if this guy was in Memphis and, she's on the phone with him. I would put this young man between a low and a medium risk because of his autism, maybe even at a medium risk in terms of his capability based on listening, to what they're saying here, that he has the capacity. Well, first of all, he's got under a victimology, thought process, they said he has the mental capacity on the scale, the autism scale, of about 6 to 8 years old, right?
Correct.
Okay. 8-year-olds can make a lot more decisions than 6-year-olds. I think we would all agree with that. Okay. But are they capable of directing a 60-mile or 45-mile drive? Now, a child on the autism scale who may, be extremely special and have, this mind that the good Lord has given him, he may have that capability very simply, to know, remember streets and patterns and those types of things. The fact that he's into, Minecraft, that tells us he loves patterns. He loves, syncing. His mind responds to making patterns. Okay. So the question is, at this point, just listening for a moment here, for me, it's, so he goes to bed at 9 at night. and then he's up at 6 a.m. So what are his patterns that the family has put into motion for him? And did he deviate from that, that process the night before? And if so, what were the deviations, and how did he get to that? And what drove that? So that's a couple of things that I'm thinking out loud here, but I want to see.
Darzilla says here, how was he happy that morning and laughing if he was gone when she went to wake him up? And, that's one of those things where I don't know if that's a Freudian slip, or if, maybe, she's could just be a distraught mother that's getting things confused as well. Now, I will say this: law enforcement has said that they have no persons of interest. They have no suspects right now. Nobody's been named a suspect or a person of interest. Nobody's been charged with anything in connection. I will tell you this, though, Chris, and I found it very odd. From the interview earlier today, Mr. Proudfoot, Christopher Proudfoot, says that they have been cleared of all wrongdoing. All three of them, the bio dad, the bio mom, and him, they've been cleared of all wrongdoing, but everything's still on the table. I don't know how that works. But he claims that they have all been cleared.
Well, this is one of the things that's really important to these types of cases. Early on, if law enforcement starts to get into, the vein, for lack of a better term, sometimes they hold back too much information from the public. And if we look at the contrast of the most recent 2 children that have been murdered, if we look at the Cunningham case and we look at the Soto case, law enforcement was quick to put into the public arena, hey, we're looking at these people, reasonable suspicion is presented to the public, for lack of a better term. Okay. In both of those cases, the public responded. All right. Meaning you got a phone call on, Madeline's case. Hey, I saw those 2, or I saw this guy at the donut shop across the street, if at the gas station kind of situation.
Yeah.
With the most recent situation in Florida, Soto, okay, you have the public saying, hey, I saw that guy. He was fixing a flat tire on the side of the road, okay, which is probably a ruse, okay, to conceal the fact that he had just dumped that child. Right. So those are the kind of things that law enforcement sometimes holds back to kind of create this stress inside of an environment. Okay. But the other side of it is they lose momentum by not putting that kind of information out. And I'll use the case, most recently in the Marin case with the red hat. Okay. It was a Bulls hat from Chicago, okay, that the suspect was wearing, that he left in the house in Los Angeles. Right. Well, I knew about that hat. And then I finally made the decision, you know what, I'm just going to tell the public about it. And within an hour and a half to 2 hours later, they had a podcast up and they talked about the hat. The sheriff did. Okay. Well, they should have done that weeks ago, because that hat is a critical piece of evidence that helps you solve the crime. Okay. So sometimes, Ellie, and I'm not pounding on my brothers and sisters in blue. What I'm saying is sometimes you have to take a chance to pop the balloon to see the confetti that comes out of it. And in situations like this, the double talk to the media, to the public is, well, there's no crime here, but there could be a crime. Okay. It's like there's no snow here, but it could be snowing.
Well, it's funny that you say that because TBI has said that they have no evidence of foul play, but they also don't have evidence that there isn't foul play.
Well, there you go. That's my point. Okay. Well, I mean, what does that mean?
It means nothing.
Exactly. And that's exactly what the public is thinking. What the heck does that mean? Okay. And if you want to put pressure on suspects, and i.e., you want people, the public, to help you solve the crime, then you have to be straight up. And, you know, I got to give the sheriff in Texas in the Soto case, you know, props. I mean, that guy did it just right. He held press conferences. He said, this guy is a person of interest. We don't know if he did it or not, but he certainly is a person of interest. And lo and behold, that guy gets under so much pressure. Okay. And then they are working it from the other side. Next thing you know it, you know, they're finding her backpack. And unfortunately, they found that sweet child in the Trinity River, okay, with a rock tied to her. That's the savagery that animal, you know, put that little girl through. We don't know what children go through until you have had a chance to sit across from these people and they look like, you know, they work at Disneyland, i.e. the dude, you know, Steven in, you know, Soto case.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you know, here's a guy projecting himself, you know, with the fake tears and everything, you know, yeah, I work at Disneyland. Okay. Well, guess what? This guy's got, you know, 60 counts of child pee on his telephone. Okay. Well, yeah, guess what? You know, you're working in an environment which is target rich. And so I always look at these things initially, and this is the first time I've seen this personally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so I'm looking at this, believe it or not, objectively, agnostically, saying, okay, could this be a walk away? And if so, what's the mental capacity of the child? And that also tells us then who's
there are
in the
people correcting me saying that he functioned at a higher level than what I said earlier. Some say as high as 12.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
A 12-year-old is capable.
Yeah.
So one of the dynamics that investigators are going to look at really quickly are what are the dynamics from a geographical profile in relationship to the neighborhood. Okay. I.e., how many neighbors know this little boy, Sebastian? And what are they from and what familiarity do they have? Has he ever walked out, gone to the neighbor's house, you know, kind of like Michael Vaughn, you know, 5-year-old running up and down the street, and he goes over to a neighbor to look for, you know, some kids to play with. Okay, and they say, you need to go home, Michael, and they send him home. Okay, these are eyewitnesses that saw this happen. All right. And now that vulnerability presents itself because he's out there. Is this another child that's vulnerable like this? I don't know. I don't have enough information at this point, just watching these two, you know, to say, hey, this person or that person.
Of course.
You know, but there is definitely, you know, if we were to categorize some things based on the statements, and, you know, they could be scared. They could be, you know, genuine. And of course, the parents, you know, could be cooperating 100%. Okay? But that doesn't mean anything.
And Karen Bass says here, hi, Chris, a stepdad adapting story like DW as he goes forward. I mean, he has certainly kind of molded his, you know, kind of start perfecting your question. And by the way, that's kind of a normal thing to do when you answer a question so many times. There's a lot of times where you're like, I answered that like crap. I can answer that better next time, and so on and so forth. But
Karen's got a good point there, and right. I mean, she's
yeah, absolutely.
You know, we said that early on with Don. With Don's past, i.e. in his life, we knew that, okay, this guy's a career criminal. He's going to adapt and improvise as he keeps moving forward. Okay. I think if they were smart, the cops, which they are, I know they are, if TBI's on this thing, okay, I would have all 5 of those previous wives in my office. Tell me about the idiosyncrasies and help me understand those. Okay? And then, quite frankly, I would tell him, hey, I'm going to interview all your ex-wives. Just give you a heads up. And I'm going to turn up the heat if I'm suspecting there's something out of whack here. Okay? And then you have to say, okay, if that's the case, if this guy's had 5 ex-wives, which you told me, right?
I believe this is his 5th marriage.
Okay, so he's had 4 ex-wives. And so then I would say to the wife, okay, I would want to know, why did she give him an out and become number 5? Because she's obviously thinking that she can fix him because she's the 5th one. Okay. But there were 4 other women that didn't believe, that couldn't do it. So that's exactly the problem right there.
Well, that's what I said the same thing. I was like,
go ahead.
You get married 5 times. I mean, obviously you're not agreeable a lot. I mean, that's just,
Look, women know. I mean, let's just be honest, Josh. I mean, my Karen knows.
Yeah.
And they have a 6th sense about dudes. I mean, and so the fact that 4 of them said, "Yeah, I'm not sure anymore," thank you very much. Have a good day. Well, okay, as an investigator, that's gold. That's gold. Because the questions you want to ask is, do you have children? i.e., was he the stepfather? And if so, how did he treat those children? And you can go down this laundry list of investigative techniques and tools, and you can create this whole understanding of, okay, I get this guy now. Okay? It doesn't mean you're going to confront him with it. It just means, hey, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Okay? And now you can, play chess.
Chris, something else that I noticed during this, I am not a body language expert. I don't even know where to start with that stuff, but I do know that this interview right here, that there's no loving embrace, that there's no, she doesn't make eye contact with him. He makes eye contact with her. He looks at her. She won't look his way. They're not holding hands, as he's not. I find that strange. I just do. It doesn't mean that they're guilty of anything, but I don't know. She doesn't look like she's all that comfortable next to him. I don't know, but that's just what I think.
Well, that's what I said earlier. It looks like she's having buyer's remorse.
Yes, I agree.
The facts, if they have questions, all they have to do is ask.
And I pray genuinely.
Let me go back a little bit so you can hear this.
What they know. It's just better to stick to the. I would say it like this. Everybody has an opinion, and it's perfectly okay to have that opinion, but you're not in this situation. You don't quite understand. I wish people would step back, take a different wide open view, and not assume what they know.
Okay, back up for a second. Watch this simple little clue. Okay, watch the wife when he responds. Watch her Adam's apple. Go ahead.
Watch whose Adam's apple?
The mom. When he's giving an expression of thought here about what people should be thinking because they're not in his situation. Watch her neck.
Okay, I was gonna say, I don't think women have Adam's apples.
Well, whatever it is. Yeah, in the neck.
You don't quite understand.
Right.
I wish people would step back.
Go back.
No, I see what you're talking about.
See how it's compressing?
Take a different wide open view.
Right there.
And not assume.
She just swallowed.
A knot in her throat. Yeah.
Okay. That's stress. Okay. And it's a simple little thing. Okay, so now you can go back and listen to the context of what is going on there.
I would say it like this: everybody has an opinion, you know, and it's perfectly okay to have that opinion, but you're not in this situation. You don't quite understand. I wish people would step back, take a different, wide open view, and not.
Yeah, that was very, very noticeable.
Yeah, it's pretty profound. And she's breathing, right? She's breathing through her mouth and exhaling maybe through her nose. She may be breathing through her nose. Okay. But when you do that, okay, when you swallow, okay, your body, your nervous system, your central nervous system is going inside, and you see her, she's rocking. She keeps rocking. Okay.
Self-soothing?
Well, that's stress. That's all stress. That's called leakage. She's pushing stress. She's trying to control her central nervous system, and that's, that could be problem. And she's traumatized. Yeah, as Kate's saying. So that could be, connected to two different areas. It could be that, she knows something, or it could be the fact that her little boy is missing and he's out there. So at this point, again, he's a little calmer. I mean, if you look at him, he's delivering, but every once in a while you'll see him look to the left over at her, and she will not make eye contact with him.
I've noticed that. Yes, I've noticed that. And they do it. I think they've done like 2 official news interviews, and the second one, Chris, which is strange, they don't go on camera. They're just they have a photo, or they have not a still photo, but the camera's focused on them holding hands, which I found interesting. It was, but they said that they were too distraught to be on camera, and this was after this interview.
Not assume what they know. It's just better to stick to the facts. If they have questions, all they have to do is ask.
Now, see that. So here's a question: are they controlling that narrative in terms of to the press? Are they saying, we'll do another interview, but you're only going to show our hands?
It's so they had an interview with a big reporter out of Nashville, Nick Barris, I believe his name is, and for some reason they canceled on him. They didn't give a reason why, I don't think. And then they went to do with like Nashville 4 or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know if that's. It sounds like, yeah, that they would only do the interview that way. But that, like I said, that was after this one.
Okay, and then in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, then the media is not doing their job.
Why do you say that?
Because their job is to show what's happening. It's not their job to edit. And it's their job to tell the story, whatever that story is. And sometimes the story is very painful, i.e. the guy in Florida, that journalist did it right. He kept the camera on that guy. And, you see the fake stuff here. He kept the camera on the mother, whose legs going 150 miles an hour. She's like this. Okay. That's the way you do it. Okay. And I noticed this in the Summer Wells case too. Okay. That the media would not ask him. And if we go back at Dawn and Candace in the very beginning of that case.
Suzanne Diaz.
That's all right.
I silenced it, I swear.
If you go back and you look at the Dawn and Candace interview in the very beginning, okay, that they cut the part out where they asked her a hard question, and then she responds with, well, if that's what people think, okay, and then Dawn came up with, Well, yeah, they criticized me because I used past tense. Remember that? Remember that part of the conversation?
I do.
Well, that was an edited cut. Okay. Because they asked a hard question and Candace didn't like the question and she fired right back at him with, well, that's, blah, blah, blah. But we don't know what the question is. And in this situation, the reporter here is already showing emotion in the very beginning of this interview. Okay. That's not a reporter's job. It's not. That's like the chief of police stepping up and crying, okay, about the crime they're investigating. Okay, what if these, what the media's responsibility is to ask hard questions. Okay, where you follow up with, okay, so he went to bed at 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, okay. What time did he wake up? 6 a.m. They got that piece of the puzzle. So from 9 to 6 a.m., who saw him? I don't know. I was sleeping. Okay. You see where that could go?
Yeah.
Okay. None of that was done here. So now there's this new narrative created here potentially. And it's sometimes enabled. And the only person that's going to suffer here is this child. Because they want to be their friends. Well, when you have a missing child, nobody is your friend. Period. Because you don't know what you have.
Right. Right. And there was another interesting development was that when this all came out, that Sebastian had gone missing, Chris's ex-wife, the stepfather, or his ex-wife, filed for emergency sole custody of their child almost immediately, which I found interesting as well.
Well, that's a great point. And one of the things that a reporter has to understand is if the family says, well, we're not going to do the interview, then you say, fine.
Yeah, right.
They need the media more than the media needs them right now.
Right. The media is a tool, and it is, look, if everything's, when I say everything's on the up and up with the parents, or, you're going to be screaming. I find it odd that it took 8 days as well. Maybe, I don't know what law enforcement has told him to do or not to do. He claims that there are certain things that he's not allowed to talk about, such as, the dates previous to when Sebastian goes missing. He said that he was asked by law enforcement not to disclose that information. And very well, maybe that could be the case, or he could just be using that as a shield to not answer questions, because the one thing that nobody can track down, and I know that there are going to be people in the chat that say, something, nobody really knows for sure where the hell this guy was.
Well, if the media, if Ellie says to him, don't tell anybody, then why did you tell him? I mean, seriously, as an investigator, if an investigator comes up to you, anybody listening to my voice at this moment, and tells you something and then follows it up with, but don't tell anybody, well, then that investigator shouldn't have opened his mouth or her mouth. Because the moment you tell somebody, i.e. the family, everybody's going to know about it, because they're going to tell their immediate relatives. And in the world of social media today, that will hit the family chain of communication within a split second. Okay. Hey, did you talk to the cops? Yeah. They said boom, 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 and boom, 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 boom in a text message. Okay. Do we honestly think that text message is the end of that communication chain? No. So the fact that individuals say, like Don, I'll use Don.
Use them.
Oh, well, we passed all the polygraphs. Well, who said that from law enforcement? Who has come out from LE, i.e. in a public forum, and said, Don and Candace and Grandis have passed the polygraphs?
The closest thing that I can find to that is Brian Enton saying that he asked and that law enforcement told him, yeah, they passed. But there has never been a law enforcement official to go on the record and say they passed. They've never said it out of their mouth ever.
Right. But the problem is the first one, i.e. they failed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did they pass or did they fail?
Well, if you fail the first one, I would imagine you failed.
Okay. So then that's where law enforcement, again, it's not snowing outside, but it sure does look like snow. Okay. And we're not sure there's a crime here, but there could be a crime. We're not sure, and that's where the clarity into the public is necessary for these kind of cases and child cases. And I've been investigating these things for a long time. Okay. The ones that are successful, i.e. the one in Florida, the one in Texas, the common denominator is the authorities were using information as a tool to the public. They weren't holding back and saying, okay, A, B, C, and D. If TBI wants to, because I got a fear now just watching this thing. We don't know, right? We don't know. But if they're not out front constantly talking about it, and if they have suspicions, they need to tell the public, because that's how you build the case. What if hypothetically, and I'm not saying they are, and I'm not going to point my finger at them, but let's say there was a blue car in the neighborhood and he walked out and got in a blue car. Okay. And he's gone. Well, by not coming out and saying, okay, here's what we know right now at this point. Okay. Boom, 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 and boom. About the parents, about the environment, about the neighborhood, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Pow. And everybody goes, okay, we got to start looking for a blue car. Did you notice how confusing a red truck got?
Yes.
In the Summer Wells case?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
They finally came up and said, well, yeah, we've interviewed the people in red trucks all over the place, and we can't find it, so we don't think it exists. Have we heard them actually say that? Right? That's the point. Okay. So what do? They build on that.
Well, Mohawk Mom says, and I believe this is correct, he claims their camera systems were not working that day.
Of course.
Yeah, why would they be? That would be too convenient. I don't, you're right, Chris, and the fact is that unless they have they're telling the media, or excuse me, TBI is telling the media that they have few clues, no answers, no suspects, no idea, right? That's their public stance. Yet you have a timeline shrouded in mystery. They were asking, and I believe are still asking, for the public's help with not much. There was a video that was released of a couple of lights that were around the neighborhood, but then TBI came out and kind of threw, water on that fire. They said that doesn't mean anything to us. Nothing substantial from that. And is it possible that they could just be, I say this, and it takes me back to the Summer Wells case. Is it possible they're building a case?
Anything's possible, right? Behind the scenes, but
it doesn't feel like it.
There's also the impossible.
Right.
I mean, they're 3 years into summer.
Yeah, I know.
And it seems like, when you hear the same narrative from the same PIO, and press conferences are great, but they have no value unless you provide information. Because if you're just going to stand there and say, everybody take a look at me, well, you know what? That doesn't work. Okay, that doesn't work. I mean, look what Chief Huff has done on Michael Vaughn's case. He came right up front and he says, look, we're looking for A, B, C, and D. Okay. And now everything is shifted to the district attorney's office because they did their job. That's their job. Okay. They came out and said, this guy's a suspect. This person's a suspect. So is this one. And so is this one. There are 4 of them. Okay. Now it's up to the DA to pull the trigger on whatever they want to do. And these kind of cases like this, where children are involved, you have 3 hours after a child with a child like this with a mental capacity of maybe 12 years old. You have 3 hours. Okay. If it's a random abduction, then within that 3 hours is a high probability that child will not be alive.
Okay, so let me just clear this up real quick. So his stepdad says he's not allowed to speak about their cameras, not that they weren't working. Okay, so there's a difference there. I can understand that.
Okay, but that doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, of course not.
Why if this was my kid and there were cameras, then the first thing I want to do is I want to show the world that he walked out that door. Because what I want is the world to look for him out that door. Okay? I want to show every activity that he did out that door. Okay? Because now that risk level goes through the roof. Okay? And we've talked about this 1,000 times on the victim continuum. Children just don't vanish from their homes. They don't just vanish from their home. And I don't care how old they are. They don't. Okay. There had to be something, i.e., either an interconnection of somebody or something that was familiar with that environment that came into that environment, okay, or it had to be somebody within the environment, okay. And Elizabeth Smart taught everybody that. While the cops in Salt Lake were kicking in the door of a registered sex offender named Riki, okay. Believe it or not, I was one of the guys behind the scenes that said, wait until the sister, the 10-year-old, has an aha moment. Okay. There's somebody connected to this house. And guess what? It ended up being, okay, the handyman, the painter, who was all of his eggs weren't scrambled correctly up top. And the one day she had the aha moment, she goes, I remember who it was. It was the repairman. Okay. Next thing you know it, Riki, the RSO, was no longer relevant. And guess what? It ended up being that guy. He came in and he took her out that night, out of the house, in front of her sister. And what a horrific problem that is. But that's the point. Statistically, okay, that continuum can there's a variance in relationship to it. But statistically, they've gone through thousands of cases to get to this place where you go environment, situation, circumstance, low, medium, and high. And then you say, okay, what's the environment? Well, an ex-wife or 4 ex-wives in this guy's lifetime. Okay. This is the 5th marriage. Okay. All right. Tell us about the home environment. No. Okay, we've got to kind of work through a little victimology here with inside the house. All right. What is the risk level to the child? Does mom have to, change his clothes? What's his capabilities because of his autism? These are very special children. Okay, and they need a lot. Sounds like mom said he's in therapy. Okay, what's the therapist say? Okay, in relationship to his functionality? When they talked about, one time he made breakfast, and the stepdad kind of, almost like, he made breakfast. Really? Okay, what does that mean? Is he capable of making breakfast? Can he even pour a box of Cheerios? I don't know. He knows how to work a switch, but he's got patterns within that game, i.e. Minecraft. So his mind there's a functionality there within inside of that game. Okay. And so does the child, if the child's a walk away, how does he walk away? Meaning, does he have shoes on? Does he have socks on? Does he, what kind of pants does he have on? Is he in his pajamas? Are his pajamas in his room? If you walked in at 6 o'clock in the morning, you said he may be getting ready for school. Okay, did he dress himself? And if so, how does he do that? What's his functionality to do that? Does he need help? Did you put his pajamas on him the night before you put him in bed? You see where my mind's going here?
You know what, though? Yeah, absolutely. And during, I think maybe it was today's interview that I do not have permission to play. That's why I'm not playing it. Is that she said that she heard a noise and just kind of yelled, "Go to bed," and that was the end of that. And that was
okay. What does that mean, though?
Well, he said, "Well, was the question was asked? Well, was that the last time that you had talked to him?" And then she said, "Well, I went to bed." She said she went to bed around midnight, but that she had heard a noise, and was it around 10 that she had heard a noise and kind of just yelled, "Go to bed," or something like that, or knock it off, or something like that.
Okay, then let's hypothesize on an intruder. Okay. An intruder comes into the house at around whatever, midnight. She hears the noise. She assumes it's the child and says, "Get back in bed. Go back to bed." Okay. So let's play out the intruder play. The cameras would be valuable in that.
The most is it, if we're talking abduction, stranger abduction, a 5'5", I don't know, 120-pound boy that somebody had the need or the want to, and if you look down below the Wanda life, no break-in and doors were allegedly locked. There was no sign. As far as we know, there's no sign of forced entry or foul play. I mean, that comes straight from TBI. If TBI is saying we don't have any evidence of foul play here, let's be honest. I mean, they're saying that, okay, I mean, then there's no abduction, right?
Okay. Well, let's just play the camera for a moment.
All right.
Okay. Common sense would tell you these parents immediately would be saying, a stranger came into our house. We have him on camera. We've turned it over to the police. Okay. And please don't hurt him. Whoever you are, please don't. Okay. That is a normal reaction of anybody. That's just common sense. You don't say on national television around the world and now on YouTube, okay, well, we don't know. There's a 0 to 0. We're still at 0. Oh, but I heard a noise. Okay, what the heck does that mean? And I'm, that these are common sense things. The minutia details of these kind of problems are very, they're not rocket science.
And also the neighborhood that they are in, there are cameras, Ring doorbell cameras. So let's talk about the walking away theory. Okay. Sure. Now it's been said by the search team that their hope, because of them not finding anything, that he outwalked the search area. Now, there was a case where a young autistic boy did wander away. He was found 5 days later, alive. Is that possible that a barefoot 15-year-old could outwalk a search party? Say he left at 3 a.m. Okay. Let's say he took off out the door at 3 a.m, no shoes, allegedly had a flashlight with him but there's some discussion about that. Nobody really knows if that's true. And I mean, is that like you said, anything is possible, but I guess we're dealing with likelihoods. If we're dealing with percentages here, could he really outwalk?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Kids are, amazing, especially autistic children. I mean, they have capabilities that you and I don't have because, they're just that way. And believe it or not, I mean, if this child walked out of there at 3 a.m. with a flashlight, and did he have shoes on or didn't he? Do we know?
He did not have shoes
Okay,
on.
so he walks out of that. And how was he dressed? Do we know? Have the parents said anything?
Let's see. Yeah, but they went back and forth on that as well. There's not a real clear there's not a real clear consensus on what he was wearing, but let me just bring up the Amber Alert here.
But who's saying they're not clear of what he was wearing?
The stepdad.
The stepdad. What about the mom? What does the mom say? Moms know these things. Dad don't rely on the dads.
All black, sleeves and pants, all black.
Pajamas?
I don't believe so.
So how does she know he's all in black? She put him to bed. She went in and checked on him, she said.
Black shirts and black sweatpants.
Okay, but she said did I not hear this correctly? Somebody keep me honest here. Didn't she say she went in and checked on him? She told him to go to bed?
No, she just yelled from wherever she was.
No, that's the second part. Go back to the very beginning, first interview.
Let me hold on here.
But says her hope is strong that her son Sebastian, stepdad Chris, says it's been
Not him.
To go to bed.
There you go.
He did.
Go back.
He's
5th.
Pretty normal. He was
Right
playing
there.
in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did. He said, "Good night, Mom. I love you."
Katie says she went to wake up Sebastian around 6 a.m. Monday for school, and he was gone. Within minutes, Katie says she was on the phone with Chris, who was working out of town, and they quickly called 911.
And he's not a runner. He's never run away before.
I don't believe she ever checked.
Wait a minute. Let it go.
I don't know why. I don't know why he walked out that door.
I mean, he's a good kid.
Okay, right there, she's got him out the door. Okay, so I want to hear the rest of this. Keep going.
He's not a mischievous child by any means.
Katie and Chris say Sebastian is not on social media. While he loves to play Minecraft, they tell me he does not have any online capabilities. I asked if there was any reason he might want to leave.
We've been combing over that day and even the weeks before he left, and I hadn't been able to figure it out. He's that morning he was laughing, he was joking.
It's as if Sebastian vanished. No sign of him on any video throughout the community.
I don't know what she means that morning that he was laughing.
That's a great question, but keep going. I thought I heard it, but I could be wrong.
By law enforcement, canines, helicopters, even dive teams, and no sign of him. Chris and Katie tell me they've been harassed. People pointing fingers at them.
You're not in.
Yeah, they did. Stop this. This is exactly what the news did during Summer Wells.
I know.
It's a carbon copy.
I know.
That Don and, they got to Don and Candace and, they're being harassed. Go ahead. Next. Sorry.
Oh, I understand.
That's all right.
I wish people would step back, take a different wide open view and not assume what they know. It's just better to stick to the facts.
Are you?
What are that bothers me too? Because what are the facts? I mean, that there's no sign of foul play, and that there's no sign that there was no foul or that there was foul play. Like, it's just weird to me.
Well, the facts are there's a 15-year-old that vanished.
That's the facts.
Period.
I can tell you that mom, myself, and the father have worked very fully and cooperatively with all agencies across the board. We have anything that they've wanted, we have provided.
What do you want to say to Sebastian? What do you want him to hear from you right now?
That we love you so much and we want you to come home and you're not in trouble.
Let me see here. Let me share this and then we'll finish this one up.
Yes.
Just be kind to people. I mean, it's real simple.
There are some people who have been talking, because I know this is part of the harassment. Is there anything you want to address about this child custody situation with the previous?
So I have a current case that is ongoing in another state. We've requested that case to be sealed because there are some individuals who have taken upon themselves to put stuff out there that they don't quite know, which all they have to do is ask. I'll tell you.
Well, then tell us.
That, it's.
Well, he won't. He says that. He says, all you got to do is ask. He says that a lot. Like that's a theme when he doesn't want to answer a question.
Well, child custody things are very messy.
No question.
So it's he said, she said.
No question about that.
So tell everybody.
But I tell you that, let me just say, and God forbid that I'd ever be in any situation like this. I don't envy anybody that goes through this. So, and I'm not casting aspersions or anything, but I wouldn't care about my other case. You want to hear about it? Let's hear about it. You want to hear? What do you want to know? What do you want to know? It doesn't matter. We need to find Sebastian. And the only reason that you wouldn't want your business is out there. The world is watching you. Your child vanished. That's the story that you're telling people, but you only want them to focus on that. There's a story behind everything that's going on here. And it goes much, much deeper than the surface level stuff that we're seeing. You're going to, in the coming weeks and months, if there's no progress, if Sebastian's not found, you're going to hear about all kinds of situations, interactions, suspicions, anything. It's gonna come back all over him.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly so far, goes to bed at 9 at night, wakes up somewhere around 6 in the morning. Mom somehow sees him because she hears him laughing and, whatever. She knows he's in a black shirt and black sweatpants. Okay, allegedly, or I don't know, but that's what I'm reading here. And we know he doesn't have shoes on. Okay. And he hits the environment and what was mom doing, right? In my mind, where's mom at 6 in the morning, and what's her routine getting him ready for school? What time does school start? Does he take a school bus? What is it about this routine the day he went missing? Okay. This is a good one. He's not in trouble. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess he would think, okay, I could be in trouble because I walked out of the house. Okay. Kids do that. So now you want to know then about his life pattern. How often has he done that in the past? Okay. It sounds like the stepdad here has a very, routine where he's like, no, there's no internet access. He can't function on the internet. But then on the other side is, well, he can make it down to Culver's for ice cream, which makes sense. These kind of, children are driven to that, sometimes drawn to that type of situation.
Uh-huh.
He knows how to get to his father, his biological father's house, which is 45 miles away, approximately, according to
70.
whatever you're saying. How many?
70.
Really?
Yeah.
70? Okay, that's even okay. He knows how to do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's that space there. between when he woke up to when he vanished. What did they see in that time? That's the critical moment here. And of course, when, the sleeping time, I'm not worried about, well, how does she know he has a flashlight?
It was explained that it was like some sort of attached to. Well, they can't even they can't talk about the flashlight either. But I mean,
why can't they talk about the flashlight?
I couldn't tell you, Chris. They can't talk about it. It's top secret. Just like they can't, like how many pairs of shoes he had. They can't talk about that. There's a lot of things that they can't talk about or don't want to talk about, but a lot of it they say that TBI has told them not to say. But I'm telling you this right now, they are under no obligation to listen to what TBI says. I would personally, I understand, but it's, you know what I'm saying? If there is information out there that is pertinent, and I'm not saying that the shoes or the flashlight or anything like that is pertinent to the investigation, but like you said, you'd want to get as much information out there as possible. I'd want everybody to know the circumstances surrounding the day. If I saw anybody look at my kid weird, if my kid was acting a certain way, if there was an argument, if he was playing online with his friends and there was an argument, I would want everybody to know every single detail of every single day leading up to his disappearance. And yet we're dealing with nothing but just deflection. And I'm not saying that these parents are guilty, because I don't know what they're guilty of or what they're not guilty of. But what I'm saying is it just seems there's so much mystery. Again, like you said, in this brand new phenomenon of children vanishing off the face of the earth. It doesn't happen. They're not being abducted. Bigfoot's not out there doing it. That's all that crap is just ridiculous. This animal situation, these kids we're being told by parents that their kids are vanishing out of their homes.
Right. Good. Yeah. I'm glad you said a lot there, man.
I got a little pissed. Tiger got out of the cage.
That was awesome. And one of the other things here, just it's in its simplicity, okay, is, to your point, you want all that information out there. He's wearing, black this, black pants, and look at the contrast between the Texas case and the Florida case.
It drives me nuts.
The Texas case, they came out and they said, we found her Hello Kitty, backpack. It was down by the river. Right now, we're searching the river. We're not sure what we have. Okay.
Chris,
and they told everybody about it.
That's what I'm saying. And you watch these guys and they hold these very good press conferences and they give out these, and there are certain things they say, we're not going to give that out right now. Maybe at a later date, but right now we're going to keep that one with us. But here's what we need from you. And, other than 5 years ago, Chris, I was quoted in the local paper because I had started looking into a missing girl from 1997 in my hometown. And they used it at the very top of the article, and it says, nobody vanishes into thin air. And I have felt that. I feel that with every ounce of my being, because somebody knows something. It just doesn't happen. Now, people walk away, people run away, people hide. That's not vanishing into thin air, though. That, to me, there is an explanation for everything. And if you can't talk about his shoes, his flashlight, your security system, your, where he was, prior, after, you're not doing yourself any favors in the eyes of the public. I would just shut up.
Has TBI talked about that stuff?
No, TBI doesn't talk about much, to be honest. And I mean, the sheriff's department, they did hold, while the search was going on, they did hold press conferences, but it was all focused on the search. And then when they pulled the search, it's the exact same thing that they did in the Summer Wells case. this hardcore search, and then they scale the search back. Now we're into an investigation mode, you know.
How's it worked out so far with Summer?
Terrible.
Yeah, there you go.
Has nothing to do with the situation. You know, I just people would respect that and then keep an open mind. It's totally different.
Yeah, and that was another thing. Sebastian's been without his medicine now for 3 weeks. Okay, he takes medicine. And
what does the medicine do for him?
Oh, well, they can't talk about that, Chris, because it's a HIPAA violation. Swear to God.
It's a HIPAA violation?
That's what stepdad said.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Is Sebastian able to watch?
Honestly, and those answers just drive me nuts, by the way. I just don't understand it. I don't know. He says they talk about him being rambunctious or whatever, stuff like that. But
so the medication calm him down, or is it amp him up?
I don't know.
Yeah, that would probably be an interesting piece of the puzzle, right, for the public.
I think it calms him down because he said that he does tend to, get hyperactive and things like that. But he did say that it's a HIPAA violation, that he cannot talk about his medicine. They asked what kind of medicine does he take? Oh, we can't say. It's a HIPAA violation.
And that's fine. You don't have to say the type of medicine. You just have to say he's not been on his medication. It's been 3 weeks, and this is typically what happens when he's not on his medication.
Yeah.
He does A, B, C, or D.
They did talk a little bit, saying that he can become hyper.
Okay.
And that was really about it.
Okay, but they did mention it. That's a good sign.
He mentioned it, but when they asked, what kind of medication you take, they quoted the HIPAA laws.
Okay.
Maybe he's watching this as it airs. And if he is, what do you want to say to Sebastian? What do you want him to hear from you right now?
Oh gosh, that we love you so much.
And then one more thing I did. Well, let me just jump this in real quick and see what you think of this. They searched the landfill. I told you a little bit about this. They searched a landfill. I believe that they got a warrant to search it. They said that nothing led them there, that they were just searching it out of an abundance of caution.
Okay, so don't move this picture right here. Okay, and I'm going to answer that question. Okay, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Look at his eyes. His eyes. They're down to the left, looking at the reaction of mom. Look at mom's eyes. They're closed. All right. That is not a good sign.
The land.
Just saying.
I don't look, this whole interview is there, but I do try and say, they're humans, and that this is an upsetting time, and
they are humans.
Yeah.
And the secret life is a human condition.
Yeah, he's out there. They claim that they have been out putting up flyers and things like that, but they haven't joined the searches, and they hadn't been there's been 3 vigils held. He says the reason that they haven't been to it is for security reasons, 2, that they were busy with law enforcement, and then 3, one was too far away or something like that.
Security reasons. What security?
People wanting to lynch him, I guess. I don't know.
Lynch who?
Them.
Oh.
The step parents. By the way, I don't think that you could keep me from showing up. I don't think you could. I wouldn't really care. Security issues, like, this is my child. I'm showing up. Just me.
There will be more people to protect them than there would be to hurt them.
I would agree with that. And nobody should be bothering them during a vigil. They should not at all. People shouldn't be harassing them online, messaging them, hey, you piece of whatever. we don't encourage that. You know, we are speculating, absolutely speculating, but to insert yourselves into their lives and threaten them and things like that, that stuff's wrong. That stuff is really wrong.
I want you to come home and you're not in trouble.
And for the record, and they were just on a show last night here on YouTube, and I am more than willing to talk with you, have an interview with them, a non-biased interview. I would love to talk to them, but they say they're very picky, picky about who they're doing interviews with, and I guess that's okay too.
I guarantee you he is loved. And trust me, the open arms are waiting for him to come home. From every parent to every family members to probably everyone in the community. But there's no malice, that we just want our boy home. Bad. Badly. But
That mama's heart, I know it's daddy's too.
Give me 1 second here. Hold on, I want to answer this. There, where'd that go? Oh, here's one. It will not happen here, Mel. The reality is you cannot charge people without evidence. Let investigators do their work, in my opinion. Terry, that's what I'm wondering, because I know that I saw you in the chat the other night where there was an interview going on with them. I mean, were you guys discussing the case? You know what I mean? Like, are you telling us not to discuss the case? I'm not telling people to charge anybody. I'm not asking for charges to be brought. I'm just asking questions the same way that everybody else is, and I don't think that that's unfair, personally.
But I feel like there's always that extra special bond. Can you walk us through what you're thinking right now?
I just want my baby to be okay. I don't know where he's at. I don't know where he's at.
Let's talk about the community, because I want you all to know, even my church body, I mean, we're all praying. We're all praying for his safe return quickly. What do you all want to say to the community?
Thank you.
with everything from the bottom of our hearts, I would not have imagined how far this has gotten.
I mean, Chris, she's teetering on the edge of just completely collapsing. I mean, you can hear it,
But there's no way to repay the gratitude, the love that we felt from the community, the prayers. But thank you.
But
from the
don't
bottom of our
stop
hearts.
looking.
Yeah, please.
My son is somewhere.
This ain't
Bring
over
him
until he's home.
So we have, let's mention, let's get on the search itself, because we know thousands of miles have basically been traced and retraced. We've got hundreds, we've got volunteers, we've got law enforcement from within the state, from without, outside of the state. I mean, do you feel like they're doing as much as they can? I mean, you all have been right there in the front seat, seeing everything that's underway.
As far as I know, they're doing everything. Anything and everything has been an option. They have brought in assets and resources from various counties, potentially other states. I mean, I don't
You
know
should
how
do a
much more they
mashup
can do, but
between this interview and Don's. I'm serious.
Yeah, no, you could lay one right over the other.
Yeah, it's fascinating to listen to.
Well, I mean, what other explanations are you going to give when a child vanishes off the face of the earth in your own home?
Well, they've had 3 years to watch the Summer Wells case.
Yeah.
we're grateful for everything they have done.
They're amazing, but they still haven't brought my baby back.
They will. They will.
These are
I found that just
She doesn't trust him.
she doesn't, does she?
Well,
Not even a little.
I want my baby back. It's interesting because she's got him out of the house. She's got him out of the house. So the investigators are asking, okay, well, how did he get out of the house? And you know, the camera system's not functioning that day.
Well, no, they're saying that he can't talk about the cameras.
Why?
It's a HIPAA thing, Chris. You wouldn't understand.
I know that, and so
I haven't brought my baby
But one more time.
back.
They will. They will.
I mean, first of all, he doesn't sound convincing, and I understand like wanting to keep hope alive.
do that one more time.
She didn't even look at him, man.
Yeah, but do that one more time.
They will. They will.
he's out there somewhere. So it's basically it's one day at a time, getting through this and bringing him home. What is the reaction to the fact that somehow his image he hasn't been captured on any video anywhere?
I know that it was very dark that night. I mean, it gets dark around here at night in general, but so far we haven't found him on any camera footage to prove where he's at or where he's gone.
To prove.
I know that they're looking, and
That's an interesting choice of words.
I went asking everybody and anybody that has cameras, trail cams, stores, to check, even from before he went missing, just to see
Okay,
if there's
so
anything
let's
at all.
stop that for a second. So somebody has asked them or told them, we don't believe you. Because you use that word, prove. Okay. That's a definitive definition.
And you would think that was because there are a lot of people that do not believe him, but
Back up for a second. Listen how she presents it.
Yeah, okay.
About the cameras.
So far, we haven't found him on any camera footage to prove where he's at or where he's gone.
Okay, so stop. So her story is he's gone out the door. And the investigators say, well, what makes you believe that? Well, I don't know. Do you have anything that can show us that and prove that he went out the door? I don't know. No, I mean, my camera system wasn't working that day. So now what she's done is she has reflected that conversation into this interview. Go ahead. Play it again one more time and listen how she presents it.
Everybody and anybody in general, but
somehow he hasn't been captured on any video anywhere.
I know that it was very dark that night. I mean, it gets dark around here at night in general, but so far we haven't found him on any camera footage to prove where he's at or where he's gone.
You see? Stop.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. Yeah, I would have never even thought about that. The word "prove" is you're having to prove, and it does get dark at night. Apparently,
well, why are you proving that your son's disappeared from your house?
Yeah,
I thought he disappeared. Why do you have to prove it?
To take a little pressure off of them, maybe.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was dark that night, quote unquote. Well, it does get dark around here. Mm-hmm. See, the minutia details of these things are critical. Okay. So where in her mind, she's got the night or some part of the night as a possibility of him disappearing. She doesn't have him at breakfast laughing. Okay. So she's got him in two separate environments. She's got him in a dark environment, and that's where the flashlight comes in. And she's got him up in the morning making breakfast or whatever that conversation was.
Mm.
Okay. And then somehow she's got him in all black, dressed in black.
And,
Did he?
Go ahead.
Go.
No, go ahead. She's got him in dressed in all black. Yeah, black sweats, long sleeve black shirt, shoeless, possibly with a flashlight.
Okay. Yeah. And so I want to know, just thinking out loud again. Okay. Well, what time does the dad get up to go to Memphis? Is he up at 3:00 in the morning, and does the kid say, "Dad, can I go with you?" And she's up making him breakfast, and he's laughing and blah, blah, blah. And now the kid's MIA.
Mm.
I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know, but they don't have any video to prove it.
Nothing to prove it.
That he went outside. But she thinks he's outside. Well, maybe, because that could be a half truth. That could correlate together.
Yeah, and let's see that. Let me see if I can catch this. This is a good point. I guess she's giving us reasons why he won't be seen on footage. I mean, yeah, that's a great point. And by the way, if you have sent a super chat with a question, I will get to it as soon as we finish up here.
I know that they're looking, and I'm asking everybody and anybody that has cameras, trail cams, stores,
Okay, stop.
to check.
She says, now that they're looking, who's there? Or is she talking about the authorities, I'm assuming?
Let's go back and listen.
So far, we haven't found him on any camera footage to prove where he's at or where he's gone. I know that they're looking, and I'm asking everybody and anybody that has cameras, trail cams, stores.
Hold on 1 second here. Stepdad has not been home since early February. Prove it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Well,
people,
that leaves mom.
huh?
And that leaves mom.
So what's he? Why is he here talking? Like, he's doing all the talking, pretty much.
To check, even from before he went missing, just to see if there's anything at all.
And I understand there was a request for video, any sort of footage of Sebastian from earlier in the day on Sunday before he disappeared.
That I don't believe we can comment on right now. That is not something that I believe we're privy to at this point with law enforcement. That is something I would definitely direct back to them.
Well, it's not like they're going to answer that question anyway.
But I mean, there's all kinds of requests out there. There's thousands of hours of video that they are combing, and we're just hoping they'll find something.
And I know this is so sensitive. What do you say to people who inevitably end up pointing their finger back at you? We were talking earlier, and I mean, are you both in the clear?
So is their system functioning?
The camera system, I don't know. I don't know. There were he had never said that the camera system wasn't working, that they just can't comment on the cameras.
I can tell you that mom, myself, and the father have worked very fully and cooperatively with all agencies across the board. We have anything that they've wanted. We have.
So she just asked him if they have been cleared. Here
he worked very fully.
Back at you. We were talking earlier, and I mean, are you both in the clear?
I can tell you that mom, myself, and the father have worked very fully and cooperatively with all agencies across the board.
Okay, stop.
Anything that they've wanted.
Why isn't the wife included in that conversation?
I mean, that's a great question.
I can tell you, Mom, myself, my dad have cooperated with everybody. Okay. He didn't say, I can tell you, my wife, who should have been first in that conversation, my mom, my dad, myself have been cleared by the authorities. Why doesn't he introduce the wife as being cleared by the authorities? That's a mystery to me. I mean, just play it back again. Maybe I missed it. Then he did say it.
Let me see. I think he calls her the mom.
Oh, she's the mom, not his mom.
Right.
But
Yeah.
why is he referring to my mom and my dad? I don't really. Let's play it again just to make sure.
All right.
And I know this is so sensitive. What do you say to people who inevitably end up pointing their finger back at you? We were talking earlier, and I mean, are you both in the clear?
I can tell you that Mom, myself, and the father have worked very fully and cooperatively with all
Okay, so he's
agencies
saying
across the
Mom,
board.
myself, and the
Anything
father.
that they've wanted, we have
Yeah.
provided.
He's speaking for all three of them.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So cooperation is there. I mean,
But today he did say that they have been cleared of all wrongdoing.
Okay, good.
All three of them. That's what he said.
Then that means the video is
To our
playing an
viewers,
important role.
everybody's watching. We've got a lot of folks in this community and in other counties just throughout the state as well. What do you want to say to them?
Help spread the word and keep searching, and thank you. And just if you think you see him, call him in.
thank all the viewers, everybody that's helped from across the board. I mean, everybody has been tremendous.
Call his name.
Yeah.
He'll answer, and if he doesn't answer, he'll look, even if he's not being verbal at the moment, because he can talk, but sometimes he don't talk. Call his name. Tell him to stay put.
He could be on the move, so keep checking your properties.
Yes. Like the search is never over until he comes home. That is for
He's
sure.
so smart.
But thank you for everything that everybody has done, has volunteered, the continuous efforts. I mean, it's like I said, I've never seen something to this magnitude before.
Who said that?
Oh my gosh.
No, it's scary, man.
It is.
Let me I think that's pretty much the end of that. Okay, let's totally see here.
I saw a question in here. Do they have an Amber Alert?
Yeah, it's an Amber Alert. It went from endangered child to an Amber Alert. Let me see. New interview with parents today. Where can I send the link? I personally watched it. Chris will watch it, but I don't have permission to play it. It just came out today, so we're gonna forego that. But I appreciate that. I truly think she believes he did something or had one to do. Watch the interview with Chronicles of Olivia. His verbiage is, I watched it. Thank you for that. Sweet Tea becoming a member. Thank you. Here's a good question, Josh. Chris, Chris would know if Sebastian has gone into the water, it can be extremely difficult to find him. Do we know if bodies of water have been searched? They have been searched, but you're right. How incredibly difficult it is to search bodies of water. I mean,
By this time though, how long has it been?
Well, I don't know when they started searching it, but searching the water areas, but it's been 3 weeks now.
Yeah, so he would have, unfortunately, the body would have bloated by now.
And when it came up, is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. But what happens is the body bloats, comes up, and over a little time, they'll stay on the surface for a while and then they'll sink again.
Okay. I got you. Let's see. 865 Picker. Thank you for your donation. If the mom and stepdad were innocent, why did they not consider or bring up the possibility that Sebastian snuck in a stepdad's car when stepdad was getting ready to go to Memphis that morning? And that's the thing, is that nobody knows if he did that or not. But I see what you're saying. And that theory has been floated to me before. And I'm not saying that it couldn't happen. The problem is just nobody knows where he was. Now, are there people saying he was at work? They'll just scream it from the rooftops, but he's not commenting on that, and he won't say. They searched a landfill and re-released a statement exactly like Summers. TBI does not want the public helping once again. Well, I don't know. I understand, people feeling that way, and the similarities in the Summer Wells case, as far as the parents, and I'm not saying that they live alike or that they're whatever. It's just the circumstances surrounding the disappearance.
How far was the landfill from the house?
So it was in Kentucky, so it was a couple hours away.
So the cops searched the landfill?
They searched the landfill out of an abundance of caution, because that's where their trash gets taken to. I don't buy that. I really don't buy that it was out of an abundance of caution.
No.
Because even in their press release, like you said, the small details, they say that the investigation led them to there. But they did say, but it was out of an abundance of caution. I don't believe that. I mean, I just don't. Thank you so much for that as well. And Erica, big supporter, gifting a lab membership. And Shaza.
He disappeared on trash day. That's what Kelly Kay's saying.
It was trash day too as well. So I mean, I guess maybe that makes a little more sense.
Well, what time did they call?
6:39.
What time did the trash get picked up?
Before that, I don't know the exact time.
Before 6:39, the trash got picked up?
I believe so, yes.
So like 5 in the morning?
Yeah. 5 a.m.
We know that?
Yeah. Let me just double check it. Let's see. Between 5 and 6, Trevor says. So yes.
So between 5 and 6 a.m. So who put the trash out the night before?
I don't know. It's a good question. That's a great question, actually.
Are the neighbors, do any of the doorbell cameras see somebody putting the trash out? Sebastian took the trash out? That's what people are saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
At 5 a.m., that means he's up at 5. He's not up at
unless
at 4:30.
You could have put it out the night before.
How do we know that?
Well, we don't, but that's what I do.
I know you do, but that doesn't mean an autistic child does it.
I agree. Let me see here.
Our community is amazing.
Let me play you really fast. So it was Sebastian's job to take out the trash. Convenient. One.
So mom says Sebastian took the trash out the evening before.
I don't know if he took it out the evening before or not. Does anybody know? But it was his chore.
That's what your chat's saying, bro.
Okay, well so but it was his chore to do that. That's at least what I'm understanding. Let me see if I can share this or airdrop it to myself. I don't know if I can. Hold on. I want you to listen to the bio dad's quick interview. He doesn't give a long interview.
Okay. And this is natural father. Bio dad.
Yes. Yep, this is the biological father.
Learning about the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers from Sumner County. Today, the search continues. The case, though, we know is now a criminal investigation. Thanks for being with us at 6, everyone. I'm Rory Johnston.
And I'm Kelsey Gibson for Carrie tonight. For the first time, we are getting a look at family video of the missing 15-year-old. Sebastian's biological father gave it to Nick Bears during an exclusive on-camera interview.
Okay, so stop for just for a second.
Rogers shares custody of his son and...
Okay, did you hear what he just said? The news reporter, he says, we now know this is a criminal investigation?
Yeah.
Okay, well, who are they investigating?
The circumstances.
That's not a criminal investigation.
You would know that better than me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I agree that they did say that it had turned to a criminal investigation. It went from a search or recovery or whatever, but now that it is a criminal investigation. Correct?
That means a crime's occurred.
Well, they come back.
They have probable cause to believe that a crime has occurred.
Well, yes, but then they come back with, but we don't have any evidence of foul play, and we don't have any evidence, that there wasn't foul play.
But they have evidence that a crime has occurred because it's a criminal investigation.
I'll play it again.
Sebastian Rogers from Sumner County. Today, the search continues. The case, though, we know is now a criminal investigation. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't be any clearer about that.
Yeah.
For being with us.
So somebody behind the scenes talking to the media, somebody on the investigations team, is saying, look, this thing has turned into a crime. Really? What can you tell me? No comment. That's how that's why my wife was so dangerous. Just remember, she was a journalist in San Diego, and man, she would come up with stuff. I'd be like, who are your leaks? She goes, I'm not going to tell you. And sure enough, it ended up being supervisors or somebody that blah, blah, blah. You know how Karen is. She was just out there. But what they just told the public there without telling the public is the cops are looking at this as a crime. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's
everyone. I'm Rory Johnston.
And I'm Kelsey Gibson for Carrie tonight. For the first time, we are getting a look at family video of the missing 15-year-old. Sebastian's biological father gave it to Nick Bears during an exclusive on-camera interview.
Seth Rogers shares custody of his son, and the deputy with the Davidson County Sheriff's Department spent the past 2 weeks looking for Sebastian.
I'm hoping he's still alive. That's my main hope right now, is that he's not deceased. I mean, I keep praying that he's alive. I keep praying that somebody's going to see him, or somebody's going to call 911.
Seth's 15-year-old son disappeared barefoot and with a flashlight from his mother and stepfather's home in Hendersonville either late on Sunday, March 3rd or early that Monday. Seth knows the key to finding his son may come from a tip. Several photographs have already been made public, and now he's released 2 video clips of Sebastian. In this first one, you see Sebastian up front on the left in yellow shorts, participating in a tug-of-war with fellow students.
And if you watch, he got swung around at the end like a little rag doll, and it's like, well, he gave it his best.
This second video shows Sebastian walking at his middle school graduation.
I was very proud of him. I mean, he successfully completed something.
Seth says his son, who is autistic, is not a wanderer. He finds it highly unlikely Sebastian would leave in the middle of the night barefoot, based on an experience his son had as a child.
He decided that he wanted to step into a mound of what he thought was dirt, and it was fire ants. And since then, it's always been, he doesn't like to get his feet in the dirt. He likes to have his socks and shoes on.
Seth.
So, and by the way, to me, there's a stark contrast in the two interviews here. Biological father Seth, he is a deputy sheriff. I think I mentioned that to you. He has been out searching. He says that I have to check in with TBI when I'm searching, but he's out there legit. He's actually taking time off of work, to do this. And from what I heard, and I don't want to get into it too much but that there was somebody had set up a GoFundMe for the father to kind of take on some of his bills while he's doing this search, and that the stepfather has threatened lawyers because he says that it could screw up the investigation. And first of all, he has no right to sue anybody for that. That's not his business, nor is it on him to monitor that kind of situation. But that did happen, and I think that that's too much. I don't know why he would do that.
Won't rule out the possibility of foul play, that someone is involved in his son's disappearance. And if Sebastian...
Oh, his sister created it, yeah, because he's on a leave of absence, which makes sense, by the way.
...is able, he says he needs to call for help.
He needs to call 911. And if somebody has him, you need to give him back. He's my son, and he doesn't belong to nobody, but damn it, he's mine. And he's mine.
Nick.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, he's got this idea that if his son is a walk away and that he was picked up by a stranger, like, again, it goes back to that, again, he's at a high risk if he did walk out of that house. But if he didn't walk out of that house, he's at a very low risk.
I get a lump in my throat listening to him, listening to him say that, because I can just feel his energy. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, we're both fathers. I mean, we both know, we've all been through tragedy. We know, I mean, this is how you react. I mean, he's upset, he's heartbroken. And I just think that, anyway, let me, let's see here. Thank you for all the coverage you bring to so many of the lab, and Chris, of course, who talks to their wife for 3 hours. So, allegedly that they had, now I'm a little confused on this as well, but that there was a 3-hour phone conversation. Remember when Don and Candace were on the phone while he was driving back the whole time? What's that?
The phone call.
Yeah. So we're dealing with another phone call, as well, a 3-hour phone call. And then that she was falling asleep on the couch and he had told her to go to bed. But so that to me sounds like he wasn't at home, but nobody verifies anything. Nobody can verify it. Well, maybe they can, they refuse to. Chris, does law enforcement ever tell the public if the polygraph was voluntary and if they passed or failed? If not, why?
Well, polygraphs, first of all, can't be used in a court. So they're just a tool. I mean, you could put a spaghetti strainer on somebody's head and tape some wires to it and put it on a Xerox machine. Okay. And if the suspect believes that it's a accurate assessment, if you press print and says he's lying, that's about the same equivalent as a polygraph. So one, they can tell the public if they want. A lot of agencies don't because, it just stirs up all kinds of stuff. And they can tell the individual, look, we can't tell you what to say and when to say it. But if you want to tell the public that you passed, that's fine. And if you don't, that's fine too.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
You don't have to take it.
No, you don't have to take a polygraph.
You don't have to. Yeah. Scott Peterson didn't, and the cops were very happy to share that when he didn't.
Well, there's a famous case out of LA where I cited what I just mentioned there. They literally took a guy to a Xerox machine, put a spaghetti strainer on his head. This is a true story. And then taped with some wires to the spaghetti strainer, and then taped it to the back of a Xerox machine. And they put on the Xerox machine, he's lying. This is LAPD homicide. Okay, so they had a suspect sitting there, and they said, "What's your name?" And they had a guy leaning on the Xerox machine over by the print button. And the guy tells him his name, and everybody turns and looks, okay, to see if the machine's going to do anything, and it doesn't do anything. He said, "Okay, well, what do you know about this crime?" You know, the question's going on. And he says something, and one of the guys leans on the print button, and it pushes out, "He's lying." And he holds it up to the suspect, and he says, "Well, look at this. The machine's telling us you're lying." And so the guy changes his story, right? And eventually the guy, you know, copped out to the entire case, and that went up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, "Look, that's coercion in nature, and you can't, you know, hook somebody up to a spaghetti strainer and a Xerox machine, okay? Even though they think it works."
Yeah.
Okay. And so it got kicked out. So that's in the same category. You know, polygraphers make a great living. It's a good tool, but it is just that. It's only a tool. It's subjective. Sometimes, you know, they're good, and sometimes you just go, "You got to be kidding me." Ted Bundy, remember, passed a polygraph 3 separate times.
Yeah, he was a smart cookie, wasn't he?
Well, he knew, you know, he played the game. So
The game sure did. Biodata's LE, and thank you for that as well. Thank you so much. You know, and Trevor again, man.
Sure.
I really should have had him up here, but and that's a mistake on my part. I'm sorry about that. But you know, Trevor, and please put Trevor's link in the chat, because he is he's on this case, man. Him and I talk about it every day. He's very dedicated. It's, you know, it's in his neck of the woods, you know, and he'll be putting up flyers and all kinds of stuff. He's awesome with that. Couch blocking the back door allegedly as well. Now I've heard this. I'm not kidding. We have heard that. It hasn't been substantiated, but that there allegedly was a couch that was
you can't make this stuff up, man.
I'm telling you, man, it is so weird. And, you know, hopefully we will have some more clarity as this moves along, and hopefully Sebastian is found safe, and hopefully these people have nothing to do with it. Hopefully it's just I don't know what kind of misunderstanding it could be, but let's just hope that it is. I don't, you know what I mean? Let's hope for a miracle, because that's really what it takes at this point. It is a bad situation for everybody. You know, I don't, you know, I'm not wanting to point a finger or anything like that, but you know, when you put yourself out there and you kind of shroud everything in mystery, it sucks. You know, it's a bad situation.
So at this point, and I'm going to let you finish up, Josh. At this point, my initial assessment is until there's some definitive evidence that showed him out of the house, okay, don't leave the house.
Don't leave the house.
Okay. I mean, we're right back to.
Have you left the house?
On this one, I haven't left the house, and I haven't left the house on Summer. Okay. That's just my 2 cents. I hope I'm wrong. But if you have some definitive evidence that he walked out of that house, and i.e. video or whatever they're going to produce, okay, then stay in the house.
Chris, I appreciate you, man.
Anytime, buddy.
You're the man.
You are the best.
We'll talk
soon. All right.
Get some
I will
sleep.
see you in a bit. Aloha, rats. Have a good evening. I'm going to go eat.
Enjoy. Thank you, Chris. Well, there it is, folks. And yeah, we'll do it again. We will have another episode on this, and hopefully this time we'll get Dr. Gary involved, so that, which would be even just as have another brilliant mind looking at these cases that do it so respectfully, and we will do it. We absolutely will do it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for the super chats and the stickers and the membership people joining. Thank you so much. just for supporting this channel the way that you guys do, showing up, and thank you so much. We'll talk again.